Greetings, adventurers. This is GM Comfortable Gray for the next in the Iconic Archetypes series. I'm sorry I've been delayed for a while. I was traveling for personal business, but we're back on it. First of all, for my patrons, thank you very much for everyone who has supported me through all of these games, these adventures, these wonderful times. I would not be able to do this without you. So for the first time, I'm happy to thank Alex Schramm, Chris P., Chris Wagner, Daniel Hicks, Dan Tyree, James Graves, Lee Farbstein, Noble, Ralcor, Sneeze, The Great Hoopla, The Horse Force, and Zachary Fielstra. Thank you so much for being my patrons on Patreon. It is you who enables more games and more adventures and stories to be played by many other individuals. But with that, we continue on to the iconic archetype for the Druid of the Land. First of all, look at this art. This is a really cool looking character. I definitely think they're wearing medium armor, but I'm leaning towards halfling. No shoes, that's a halfling to me. For point buy ability scores, 8 strength, 12 dexterity, 14 constitution, 13 intelligence, 15 wisdom, 10 charisma. Really, just strength is a dumb stat here. You want to have a good wisdom for every character, but wisdom, it's your thing. You're a druidic, a primal spellcaster through and through. Then, for the background, I think you can go farmer, guide, hermit, sage, or wayfarer. We're going to go wayfarer or custom background in this case, because I just want to get lucky. Just get out of the way. You can go farmer, because they've got the best, honestly, the strength, constitution, or wisdom. You want to have a good constitution or wisdom on this character. Dexterity is then your tertiary one, and you can go intelligence or charisma after that. But all of the magic initiates, this is already a spellcasting character. You've got strong spellcasting, a really good spell list, so you're not going to benefit too much from getting magic initiate, but you can still benefit a little bit, especially at low levels. Particularly if you go for the sage, getting access to the wizard spell list, you could get the shield spell. That's one of the most popular spells to dip into wizard 4, so think about that. But again, we're just going to go custom background or lucky in order to get that 17 in wisdom and then that +1 in this case for intelligence, so you've got bonuses for everything. So end result, 8 strength, 12 dexterity, 14 constitution, 14 intelligence, 17 wisdom, and then 10 charisma. Then your species, you're a halfling. Halflings aren't going to change your ability scores anymore, but you do just get a nice general well-rounded thing. That lucky, that rerolling ones, actually really powerful. I think it's really important for players to understand how to pilot their characters. So if you're playing a halfling, never let a 1 slide. Always pay attention to the ones, always reroll them, because that's game changing. At worst, you're gonna roll another 1. It can't get worse than already it is. So you're almost always, 95% of the time, you're going to do better than the 1. But you also get your class. As a druid, you have the D8 hit die. It's a moderate hit die, pretty good for a spellcaster. Saving throw proficiency is going to be intelligence and wisdom. Both of them, honestly, they come up when you're doing spellcastery stuff. Some of the other spellcaster stuff is intelligence saving throws, but there's also charisma saving throws, and really it's the wisdom. That's the most common one. For skill proficiencies, I think this is a character who's going to have animal handling and nature. You want to be communing with those animals, and we're also going to be going for a mount as well. So animal handling. For your background, get whatever. It's just whatever. You get your Herbalism kit. Herbalism kit is a really good kit. By core player's handbook, you can make the healing potions, which, while they're more expensive than good berries, they also last longer, but like, it's good to have. And then you can create, in my opinion, many other potions from the Herbalism kit. It's a great kit just to have that proficiency. You can also use it for gathering flowers, gathering materials, other things for plot-based reasons. Your basic armor training is light armor and shields, and we're always going to be getting the 50 gold from the starting equipment. As a druid, you get spellcasting. They are prepared spellcasters. So I'm not going to be going over every spell you could possibly cast as a druid. I'm just kind of going to be giving you the base first level spells, and then talking about really important spells later on. Prepared spellcasters have huge lists and just immediate access, so you're going to want to think about what you're going to want for the day ahead, particularly for the Druid of the Land, because you get to choose these different climates. Those are going to change those spells you have prepared for you. Really think about this a little bit extra. You might not think of as a Druid as a prepared person, but you're going to have to take some time to prepare. Then you get the Druidic language, the secret language. You can leave secret symbols, little graffitis here and there, and you get speak with animals prepared automatically. This is where we're sneaking in ritual spellcasting. Ritual spellcasting is better than it's ever been in 5.24, so embrace it. Have a good time with the spellcasting. Just another spell you're always going to have. And speak with animals, even though your charisma is not going to be phenomenal, still you can ply the animals around you for a lot of information. Especially if you go into an urban area, those people can really underestimate the native wildlife around them. And then for Primal Order, I really think that this is a Warden character. So you're going to have a pretty good armor class because you're going to have just that +1 dexterity, but still the medium armor on top of it. So that's really nice. Plus a shield. Then for cantrips, they suggest Druidcraft and Produce Flame. I wouldn't normally suggest taking Produce Flame. I think it's a pretty mid spell overall, but because it creates that area of illumination, you're a halfling. You don't have dark vision. This is your character always having a torch prepared. All they need is a little bit of spell casting components, and then bam, you always have some light around you, and that's really cool. Plus, you could cast Produce Flame before you wild shape next level, and then in theory, from my reading, you could have a once per wild shape ranged attack baked in there, and that's pretty cool too. For spell preparations, I think Detect Magic. If nobody else is a spellcaster and has any Detect Magic at all, you need to take it. It's a ritual. You're not putting spell slots into it. You're just going to be doing the ritual. Goodberry. Goodberry isn't something you're really going to be casting with your regular daily spells. You're going to be casting Woodberry the day beforehand, so you have those 10 berries. They last for 24 hours, not just the 8 hours, not just a little bit like that. So those good berries last a long time, and you can kind of stretch your spell slots a good deal for that. My opinion, Goodberry, the best first level healing spell, because you can get people from dead, dying, to standing up. Simple as that. Then I think Ice Knife and Jump. Those are the two spells you're going to want to have at level 1. You could replace Jump with Entangle. Entangle is also a really good area of effect control spell to have for a character, so consider that as well. And so level 2, you get Wild Shape. Colby at D4, D&D Deep 5, already did a really good video on the different good wild shape options for you. So I'm going to refer you to that video, but that's only because I don't have access to the monster manual yet. For ethical reasons, I'm not giving D&D Beyond or anybody else any of my money, but I have been gifted the monster manual by Start Playing. So I'm going to have access to it actually like today. Like February 18th, I have access to this, and it's just too late. I don't have time to go through it and put my own opinion in there. Please refer to Colby. Lots of good wild shape options. I feel like wild shape is both better and worse in this version. The temporary hit points is not as game breaking, and that's why it's better. This is no longer going to ruin things at low level, and it still carries through at high level. Even people who aren't moon druids are going to want a wild shape once in a while, and I think that's cool. I think it's a good way they went. I probably would have preferred if they went for templates, but they did what they did. So it is simply as it is. But also at level 2, now you can use your wild shapes to conjure a familiar. You're a halfling. If you looked at my Find Familiar Friday videos, that means you can get a goat and get a climb speed by mounting your goat. That's it. Simple. Done. You don't need to worry about your wild shapes. You're using your wild shapes to summon familiars. If your goat dies, get another one. No gold cost. It's just an incredible baked-in feature to have for your character. There are the other options as well, but the goat is the only CR0 beast that can be a mount. And because it's medium, you're small as a halfling. It's just wonderful. It's so comboable. and we're going to build into that a little bit more as well. And then level 3, you get your circle and second level spells. First of all, take Spike Growth. Spike Growth is the most comboable spell at this level. You can do ridiculous damage with only a second level spell, as long as you or somebody else can combo with it. This character is not going to be the best choice for doing those grapples, then wild shaping into a horse and then dragging people along. You're going to want somebody else to do it for you. As well, the different circle spells, I'm mostly leaning into this looking at the art. This is going to be an arid type druid of the land, so we're gonna do a lot of fire spells. You're a damage dealer, you get fireball pretty soon, you get burning hands immediately. This is actually one of the bigger lists that's going to have options that druids don't normally have, but although I'm not going to highlight it here in this video, keep in mind that you can always change which climate you're choosing from the Druid of the Land options. As well, you can also use your wild shapes at level 3 for the Nature's Aid action. This is not going to do a lot of damage. This is not going to do a lot of healing, but the fact that you can do both with one action in a pretty good area is really good. So that's it. Just keep in mind, probably once per combat, you're going to want to do that, especially if an ally is down during combat. You don't want to have to run over there and feed them a good berry. You can just heal them right there. It's a little more organic that way. Really powerful, good option. Level 4, I think you're going to have to get the Mounted Combatant feat. Check it out. This gives you the +1 to your wisdom. That's really what you're looking for at the 4th level, is you want your primary ability score to get up to 18. 19 is fine, but really 18 is the most effective point to be from there. Bam, you've done it, and as well, you can stretch a lot more out of your goat or whatever mount. Maybe you purchase an actual mount at this point. Don't you love that? Like, how compatible is that with your character on its own? For spells, you might want to take at level 4. Enlarge Reduce really shows itself to me a lot. And it's just because you can buff allies, or you can debuff enemies. There are other options just for how their rituals to lean in there, but like I'm highlighting a larger reduce. It doesn't seem like a druid spell to me, but it happens to be. Level 5, you get the druid feature Resurgence, an additional level 1 spell slot. Not a big deal. Extra spells at level 1 is cool. You get an extra good berry every day, you get an extra jump. Don't, at this level, look for straight damage from low level spells. You want the versatility, the utility, so Entangle is a good option. There's also Plant Growth. Plant Growth is campaign breaking. I think it's very common for communities to be starved, to be in a drought, to be in a bad situation. Plant Growth solves it. You just give them a lot of fertilizer and it's good. Also, Revivify. Still an expensive spell, but if you act quickly, you can save your allies, and that's cool. Also, Dispel Magic. If nobody else has Dispel Magic, you should take Dispel Magic. Dispel Magic is such a versatile, powerful spell that they don't have it in Baldur's Gate 3 because you can break things. You can destroy much higher level spells with Dispel Magic, and your Game Master should allow you to do it. If your Game Master isn't prepared for you to Dispel Magic, then they're not a good enough Game Master? I don't know, like there's just an issue there. It's like a skill thing, but I respect, because it had to be a computer game, that Baldur's Gate 3 just got rid of Dispel Magic. But you also get, from your subclass, the Natural Recovery feature. It just means more spell slots. Having additional spell slots makes the Druid of the Land the premier druidic spellcaster. And I like that. That's cool, it's flavorful, lead into it, you get the most spell slots. That means that you can make mistakes more often. On to level 7, Elemental Fury, potent spellcasting. Add your wisdom to your cantrips to add damage. This gives you that consistent damage you've been looking for. Now you might want to change your cantrips around. Maybe now you want Thorn Whip. Maybe now you want to have some of the other things. And it also means that when you change your Druid of the Land, stuff like Ray of Frost, things like that, are doing more respectable damage. It's never going to be game breaking, it's never going to be insane, but it is still nice to be able to do solid damage because you don't get access to True Strike. You can't just lean on the light crossbow and go in on that. Spells I want to highlight for the 4th circle are Conjure Woodland Beings. These spells for the Druid, they, I think 5.24, really dropped a ball. Conjure Minor Elementals, Conjure Woodland Beings, they're not really balanced against this world in my opinion, but if your Game Master needs to adjust them, they can. I think Conjure Woodland Beings is pretty fair. Divination also, it's better than Augury. It's just nice to have information. Again, you want to know what you're facing in the future, and that way you can prepare, and if you're prepared, you're going to succeed. Simple as that. Level 8. We're on to our next ability score increase, probably Warcaster. If you're not in a game that really wants you to have mounts, not doing mounted combat, then maybe now that's when you should have Warcaster at level 4 and just do straight ability score increases for your wisdom, other things like that. I'm going to talk about some of the other options later on when we get to level 12, level 16, but I really feel like Warcaster is good here. You're a spellcaster. You want to maintain concentration on your spells, and in a pinch, if you get to do that spell as an attack of opportunity, that's cool. That feels nice. Level 10, you get Nature's Ward. Of the subclass abilities I've looked at so far, and I've only looked at a few of the classes publicly, I do not really love Nature's Ward. You're immune to the poison condition, that's nice. That's just, immunities are always incredible, and you have resistance to 1 damage type associated with your current land, with your current climate. Would it really have been so bad if Nature's Ward just gave you resistance to all of these at the same time? As a level 10 feature, it feels rough to have to choose, because when you choose the arid land type, you get resistance to fire, you also do damage fire. Like, you get the fireball spell. That means that you're not really well suited to fight the things you're resistant to, and so there's a conflict there. I feel like Nature's Ward is a ball drop. They should have just given you all the different resistances. That's it. But we'll see for the later features how that plays in. That's just entirely my opinion. It's fields based, not really facts based. For level 10 spells, maybe Planar Binding. It's cool that Druids get Planar Binding, so you can cooperate with other people to get that army amassed, especially other Druids. This is how Druids are going to be having different elementals conjured and then protecting their groves. So I like that they have it built in there. That's possible. Level 11. Really, you just get your next level spells. Sunbeam. Sunbeam is a good choice because you cast it, then you wild shape, you're flying around at this point, and you can be a laser bird. Shout out to League of Legends, you know who I'm talking about with the laser bird. And Sunbeam, it's kind of a meme thing, but it's fun, it's good damage, single target, but it still feels cool. It's very druidy. Level 12, your next ability score increase. I highly suggest Elemental Adept for fire on this character, because you're leaning into the arid lands type. You're going to be doing a lot of fire spells, and while fire is the most frequent resistance and immunity besides poison, this is going to allow you to use that a little bit more often, to just ignore the resistances and increase the damage a little bit by re-rolling a couple of ones here and there. If not Elemental Adept, consider Fey Touched or Shadow Touched to get some spells that Druids don't usually get. Already at this level, Druids are really lacking in illusions, but then around here you start getting that hallucinatory terrain. At higher levels you get Mirage Arcana, so there are no low level Druid illusions, but there are high level Druid illusions, which is kind of a fun thing to consider. Level 13, already 13, we're on to the 7th level spells. The big standout here is Reversed Gravity. In combat, because it's going to just take out a lot of enemies in a big area of effect. Of course, Regenerate. Already, Druids are some of the best healers in this game. If you don't have a Cleric, you don't have a Bard, a Druid will happily fill it in, and then some. Druids are the switch hitters of D&D 5e. So you have those options. They also get Symbol, they get Firestorm, and like I said, Mirage Arcane at this point. and Planeship. So like a lot of cool stuff for Druids at this level. Next up, level 14, you get Nature's Sanctuary, another good use of your wild shape. This is now giving your resistance to your allies and a little bit of cover. It's cool. It is like a tweaky kind of thing. Again, I don't think this is on par with some of the other higher level subclass abilities. This is really the capstone for your subclass. You don't get any subclass abilities after this. And so if you aren't going to be using it properly, then you're not going to get as much out of it. So you really are excluding yourself from doing damage to enemies you're getting resistance from using the land as is. Let me consider, I don't love it, I don't really hate it, but it is a little bit more of system mastery. Level 15, there are 2 high level spells I want to highlight for the 8th circle. That's Animal Shapes. Animal Shapes is one of my favorite spells because it has unlimited targets. This is how you take an army of commoners and turn them into an army of lions. This is how you suddenly add force to your characters. It's ridiculous. Animal Shapes is a lot of fun. It's also a travel ability because you can turn everybody into birds. It's also a sneaking ability, turn everybody into mice, get in there, and then untransform. They can choose when they untransform as a bonus action, and that's wild. Animal Shapes, really good feeling spell, game-breaking spell, if you're careful with it, and it's Druid unique. Same thing with Tsunami, is a Druid-only spell, and Tsunami is a concentration. You just wash people back and forth. If they have the very rare, like just fire elementals only basically, weakness to water, then they're going to be totally annihilated, no question. Tsunami is a really cool spell. Arguably, Tsunami is better than some of the 9th level spells. So here we go, on to level 17. That's when you get your 9th level spells. Foresight is the most obvious option. Best buff in the game, really easy magical component to get or replace with a focus. Simple as that. Shape Change, also a really good option. It can be a little bit rough to manage. Hopefully you've got Warcaster by now, right? To really hold on to that concentration. And then you could turn into some really wild monsters I'm not going to go into right now. And then from the wild monsters, still cast spells. Shape Change, really strong. So really Foresight and Shape Change are the standard Druid spells at this level. But then we're going to take a step back, because there is Storm of Vengeance, another Druid unique spell. It's flavorful. It is cool, but it's not that powerful. It doesn't feel like a 9th level spell to me. It has a nice area of effect, an incredible range, but it's like the damage is really only good against lower level creatures. So if you're going to destroying towns of commoners, a bunch of blacksmith, carpenters, whatever it is, that's fine. It does it if you're trying to punish people. I guess it's the Storm of Vengeance idea, but it's not really good for outright warfare, which you might expect for the planescaping people of level 18, 19, 20. Level 18, you get Beast spells. And you can actually cast spells while you're wild shaped. You probably have given up your wild shapes a lot of the time, except for utility and travel, because you can fly all you want. You can cast spells beforehand and then get out there and be in it. So that's actually a way that Wild Shape is better than it was in the 2014 edition, is that you're not worried about being knocked out of it. You're worried about actually being knocked out. So Beast Spells does make Wild Shape more of a viable option for your characters constantly. Level 19, Epic Boon. They suggest Dimensional Travel. I can see that. It's off of attacks or spellcasting. But I also think Combat Prowess, because you could be using a large number of attack spells, then Combat Prowess makes sense, or Fate, because the Epic Boon of Fate is just going to make things work a little better for you overall. So those are the 3 ones I'm going to suggest. Either way, increase your wisdom, try to get your wisdom as high as possible. Finally, level 20, Arch Druid. This has a little bit of a ribbon feature. A lot of games don't go long enough that you need the longevity, but having the evergreen wild shape doesn't just apply to wild shaping. Maybe they should have called it something different than wild shape at this point. Maybe wild charges, wild surges, something. But now every combat you can make your little circle of the druid defenses or bursts, something like that. And that's cool. For Nature Magician, you also get some extra spell slots, and that's just a part of being a druid, not a druid of the land. So you get them, you have them, they're cool, they're nice, and I'm basically going to compare this character for the 3 different options. One is for using something like Produce Flame, Starry Wisp, which is if you don't want Produce Flame, if you don't want to be a halfling, I probably would take Starry Wisp. At the higher levels, when you get the improved Elemental Fury, your Thorn Whip has ridiculous range at that point. So I'm going to compare the Thorn Whip, maybe a little bit of Spike Growth, Flame Blade, and then whatever these different Druid of the Land spells give. I'll break them down as well. This is really a versatile character. They have a lot of good options for different things. It's just about being prepared. That's the big thing. So, next up is going to be the Bardic College of Dance. I hope you join me for that as well. I'm going to be running adventures for the Hold Back the Dead Monster Manual Event 2025 edition. So I hope you can join me on Start Playing for that. I hope you can join me maybe in my Dragonlance campaign for patrons. I also have other patron-only campaigns pending, and I also have my Savage Worlds Adventure. I'm running a lot of games. I'm keeping my schedule lean, but I'm also having a good time with it. So I hope you also have a good time. Happy gaming to you. See you in the future.